I'm Heather Marie, and I'm the host of Author Experts. And today I have two amazing guests with BAYA Books. I have Zandria and I have PeTika.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Yes. So, can you tell me a little bit about your books and how you got started?
Absolutely. So, BAYA Books stands for Beautiful and Brilliant as You Are, Books and More. And it was born out of my desire to make sure we create inspiring and engaging books for children to know that they are enough. And so, our first book, Beautiful as You Are, was actually inspired by my daughter before she was born, because I wanted to make sure that parents had resources they could use to talk to their children about their mental health, so that we are asking the critical questions to know that they are having positive self-talk and positive self-image.
That is amazing. So this was your first book.
Yes.
Can you show the audience your book?
Absolutely. Beautiful as You Are.
Gorgeous illustrations.
Mhm.
What was your second book?
Our second book was actually Brilliant as You Are, which is the companion to Beautiful as You Are, because like I said, I don't know if I said it first, but I wrote a poem to my daughter before she was born because I struggled with self-esteem and confidence as a child. And I wanted to make sure that she didn't go through the things I went through. And so I just wrote her a series of poems. And someone read the poem and said, you gotta turn this into a children's book. And so that's what I did. And that's Beautiful as You Are. But then everyone's like, well, what about the boys? You gotta do something for boys. And so I created Brilliant as You Are as a companion to Beautiful as You Are. And this actually features an image of my son when he was about 4 years old.
Oh,
Yeah.
that is absolutely adorable.
Thank you.
So I know a little bit about your background.
Mhm.
I wanted to ask you, what was your very first event that you did that you actually had your books and were trying to get your books out into the public?
Okay, so Zandria, that was the Melanin Market, Jacksonville Melanin Market back in 2021, I think it was. And we went there, had no clue what we were talking about, what we were doing. But we said, you know what, let's go out here and see if there's actually something, a market for our books. I think we had about 40 books with us, and we sold out in like 2.5, 3 hours. And we had like 2 hours left without inventory. And we knew then that we had something special. And so that's what gave us the motivation to continue moving forward and to go to our next big event.
That is amazing.
Yes.
So a little birdie told me you are also an author.
Yes.
So what inspired you to become a children's book author?
So I think it was actually my mom, because she's always been writing and just journaling and doing things in terms of just writing out your feelings and what you want to put onto paper. So that is how I got Zoe and Max best friends forever. And so I actually wrote this book when I was around 7 years old, and it talks about friendship and what it means to be a good friend and how to choose good friends.
That is awesome. So I have another question for you. How did your background or personal experiences shape the stories you write? I know you had mentioned a little bit of how your daughter and your son, but is there anything else that really inspired you or shaped you into wanting to write these books and maybe other books you've also written as well? Because I know Beautiful as You Are is not the only book you have written.
Right. So as an educator of 20 years now, I've taught middle school and I've taught elementary school now. I also see the harmful impacts of social media as well as comments that peers make to their so-called friends in school. Little Johnny that you send to school is not John we see in the classroom.
Right.
And so when kids say ugly things to their peers, it creates an environment where they don't feel that they are enough. And with my parents, I had everything. I had good grades, I had family, support systems, friends, and things of that nature. But I didn't have confidence and I didn't feel love for myself. And my parents didn't know how to help me with that. And so, like I said, Beautiful as You Are was written for me to inspire my daughter, but the continuation of the books we have was done so that I can continue to give parents and trusted adults resources that they need to help make sure they're talking to their children. We focus on academics so much in the classroom and in the school environment, but we have to remember children are people that have emotions and feelings, and we have to validate those, recognize those, and if we all work together to make sure that we address any instances where kids may not know how to handle social miscues and things of that nature, that we have what we need to build their confidence, and help them navigate those different social situations.
I agree 100% because children have huge emotions. And sometimes they're so huge that maybe parents don't know exactly how to handle them or how to navigate that. And I think one way we can do that, and myself as a parent, is through books.
Right.
And through kids looking at the books, because they're reading the books, but they're remembering what they're reading. And if it is an impactful story and it resonates with them, they're going to remember that. And that might change their behaviors and how they're acting and how they're reacting.
Absolutely. And that's why when I say our books are resources, I use my educational experience as well as my lived experiences to create activities and questions in the back of the book. So our books are designed for children and adults to be reading them together.
That's
Not
awesome.
say, hey, little Johnny, go read for 20 minutes. No,
Right.
little Johnny, let's sit down and talk and
Yeah.
read together. And that's where we build that community and we make sure that parents are checking on their children.
And engagement is very important. And there's a lot of kids, especially in your age group that you're targeting, that they don't necessarily love to read. And if you can provide an activity for them or questions for them or an activity that the parents can do with them,
Right.
more than likely they're going to be excited and they're going to want to do it rather than, okay, it's bedtime, let's read a story. And they're like, I don't want to.
Facts. Absolutely. And then because my daughter, when we started, she was 10, what a great critiquer for the books to make sure, no, this isn't going to work. Yes, mom. Okay, let's go with this. So I can get her real-time feedback on what would resonate with children as well.
Yeah, I think that's so important because that's actually something that I have in my publishing course that I have is get children to read your books. If you're an author and you're writing a book, you need to get your target audience to read your book. And she's perfect for that. She was absolutely perfect for that. So you know what you're doing.
Thank you.
So how can authors support literacy in the classroom?
So that is huge. Authors have a story they want to tell. They have a reason behind their writing. Every author, maybe you want to talk about kindness. Maybe you want to talk about investing strategies. So we want to make sure that what we're creating is relevant for children. We want kids to be able to enjoy what they read, but we also want to give fun stories, but also stories that matter. So make sure that the story is relevant. Here's my biggest. So I am a classroom teacher.
Right.
So I see lots of books.
I'm sure you do.
I do. So make sure that if you're an author and you're creating a book, make sure it's the best quality.
Yeah.
Don't try to cut corners and don't try to, say, oh, I cannot do this or can't do that. Whatever you publish should be your best effort, your best work, because you are impacting kids. You are impacting lives and you are giving a message. Your message needs to be heard, but make sure it represents the best you can do. Because honestly, if it doesn't, you may get support from your supporters at home and your friends and family, but it's not going to necessarily be appropriate for the school environment. And I know a lot of people want to do school visits. Well, guess what? Schools get bombarded with requests. So you have to make sure that your book is high quality and it stands out, because you can't come in not knowing what you're doing and feeling queasy about what you wrote.
Right.
Because you're going to get eaten alive.
So I didn't expect you to give all the secrets.
No,
Is
not
there one tip that you can give an author of how to get into schools? What is a way to approach either the principal or the librarian or somehow getting in the door of that school?
I say build your reputation first. Let your reputation speak for itself. And then when you have something to show your commitment to the community or the work that you've done actually matters, then you can say, hey, I have this product and this is why it's beneficial. But don't just create something and expect everybody to say, oh, I got to have your book. Because guess what? There are millions of books out there. And also do it with respect.
Right.
Be mindful that you're not the only one that want to enter to that school environment. And we have a lot of things going on. So you can't be too pushy, but you also have to be prepared to say, what value does your book bring and why should we choose you? And that should come after you've had it edited, like you said, tested by the focus group, and make sure it complies with state laws. And even better, does it connect with the standards being taught in that state? Have a teacher, an effective, highly effective teacher that know what they're doing,
But
read the book and make sure that it is something that can resonate. And especially once you decide who your target audience is.
Yeah.
So make sure you're just going through the checks and balances. If you're cutting shortcuts to create the book, then maybe you shouldn't be trying to get it into the school yet.
So one thing that I know that you and I have actually talked about previously is, should authors be focusing more on the story and making it fun, or the message of the book itself?
So that depends on what angle the author is coming into the situation with. So yeah, we need books with messages. But again, they're kids.
Right.
So we need to get back to the old fun Dr. Seuss books or something like, I got a cat in my hat. Yeah, I want to get rid of that. You know, just making sure we're making reading fun.
Yeah.
Because when they come to the classroom, they are going to be required to read books with substance and messages and stuff. So if you have a key thing that you want to get across, absolutely do it. But make sure the story resonates. We've talked a lot about rhyme and rhythm and meter. If you're going to do a picture book, there is a formula. Make sure that you follow some of the acceptable practices and don't just create something like, I have a cake I want to make. Let's go bake. Okay, cake. Okay, thank you. Okay. And I'm sorry, am I going to?
No, I love it.
Right. But we just want to make sure it's good quality. And would you buy it for your child? Would you want to read?
Yeah, that's a great tip. Yeah, I think it's a great tip because, and I think a lot of authors, they don't even think about that. They kind of just get excited. I know I have to. I'm guilty of that. I get excited. I start writing, and then I have to take a step back and be like, okay, but is this something really a kid's going to want to read? Like, I love it, but I'm also an adult. So it's a lot different than what our age range is, like babies to 9, 10 years old.
Right.
It's a lot different than a full-grown adult. So I think that's a very good point, for sure.
Thank you.
So have you had a moment with a young reader or a parent that really impacted you through this journey?
Yeah, so you're looking to it's quite a bit. I think because of the messages of our books, we get a lot of reaction from parents because our books are designed to be read with children.
Right.
The illustrations are cute. Kids love them.
Right.
But when we see parents, I think we had one person say, I want you to look at the hairs on my arm because they just stood up because they read the book. And we get so many people saying, we get so many people saying, I wish I had this when I was a child. And we have people, because we do a lot of work in the community, we see people in tears and everything. And some people come back and say, I just wanted to buy your books for myself. Or I wanted to buy your books for someone else I know, because it is so important for people to have a love of themselves and confidence. And these books, we say is written for children, but the message applies to everyone. We even had a woman buy for her 18-year-old daughter. She's like, she need this. She need this because something's going on. And it was hilarious, but it just validates, it affirms us to know that our message is needed and that people do want and crave this. Zandria, we were somewhere today and we saw a piece of art that a child created. I want to talk about that. The one where she had the image of the trend. The trend. Okay, go ahead.
You got it.
Okay, so kids had to create an artistic piece. And the young lady had a picture of her crouched crying. And there was an image that she drew on the wall of a beautiful young lady, and it said trend. And she said, I wish I could just look like her.
And then she put friends on it too. So she's saying, this is what my friends look like. And I wish I looked like that too. But it just goes back to self-confidence.
Right. And so the image of her was in tears, crouched in the corner, just wishing she could look trendy to be accepted.
And that's a big issue right now in current society, because social media, I mean, all these kids are seeing all these ads, all these women that have these perfect physiques, and they look a certain way, they have their hair a certain way. Even if you're white, black, it doesn't matter. There's still standards. There's still these perfect looking women. But the reality is they don't really look like that.
No.
They go through editing, all kinds of processes. Like if you've seen the pictures before, you don't even recognize that person on the street.
Here's a funny story. I was looking at my pictures a couple years ago. I so beautiful. I don't need any foundations and stuff. My daughter had to say, Ma, it's an automatic filter on the camera. I said, no way. And so she just cried. I know, she crushed my whole spirit. And then she took the filter off. I was like, ah.
But you still
I still look beautiful, but it was a reality check because here I had this idea that this is how I was looking,
Yeah.
but that wasn't that wasn't actually the reality. But people see those things and they're like, oh, because when you post it, they post the filtered video,
Right.
or the
sometimes
filtered image.
that was on there.
Exactly. So that's why I say you're beautiful inside and out, just the way you are. You're brilliant inside and out, just the way. You have to love every ounce of you, every inch of you, just because that is you. If you want to improve it, great. But guess what? Well, don't do it too much. But if you want to improve it, wonderful. But appreciate what you have the way it is right now.
Yeah. So I have a question for you, Z.
Okay.
So I know you did Authors in Schools this year for Amelia Island. Can you tell our viewers what you did, and don't be shy or bashful because what you did was amazing.
Oh, thank you. So I brought my book, Zoe and Max Best Friends Forever, and I read to over 200 students. And so I just shared my story. I brought a little presentation, and I had tons of fun with the kids. They were amazing, and it was a great experience.
Yeah, she's being humble because I want to add that her book was selected to be a part of the program, and she was the youngest author approved or featured for the program. I think I know this year, I'm not sure ever, but she was the youngest author selected to do it, and it was phenomenal. And the kids really resonated because it was somebody that wrote the book, the text for the book, at the same age that she was presenting to. Yeah. Now, we didn't publish it until 2 years ago.
Right.
And for the authors out there, no, we didn't publish a book that a 7-year-old wrote. Okay? That would have been awful. So we did go through the editing process, and we had it tested to make sure it was a viable story with a message that everyone could resonate with. But the general outline, Zoe and this cat that we never owned, was from the brain of a 7-year-old girl. Yes. Yeah.
That's amazing. So I know that you have a huge accomplishment recently with the grant that you won from Jacksonville.
Okay.
Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because that shows what an impact you have already made on the community here in Duval, and so excited for you.
Okay, I got to be careful because there's specific verbiage I have to use. Yeah, so it is the Cultural Council grant sponsored by the City of Jacksonville and the Cultural County Council of Jacksonville. And so that was an artist grant that was created to support the arts within the city. And so they basically look at your community impact and the things that you're doing, and whether or not you want to continue to grow within Jacksonville. And they just basically support artists and their creations here in the city.
That is absolutely amazing.
Thanks.
And I'm sure you're super excited and you're proud of your mom as I am. So what is one thing that you could tell our viewers with someone that is just starting to write and maybe thinking about publishing their first children's book?
The one thing I would tell you is to follow your heart, do your own original work, do some research, but also there's tons of resources out there. So don't pay anybody to do anything unless you're paying for quality illustrations, editing, and things of that nature. You can publish it yourself, but use a community, use feedback from others that have done what you're trying to do, but don't come harassing people talking about, I need your help right now. You got to help me. No, we don't. But I'm just saying, I mean, there's a way to do things. You have support. But just follow your heart, follow your dream, do what you think is best, but also don't cut corners. I think I mentioned that earlier. Make sure that your book is high quality and that you've put your all into it. If you get feedback and it's not as bright and bubbly as you want it to, take it for what it's worth, because guess what? It may be getting you to the next level of great. Yeah. So just go ahead, do it. But recognize that this is a process. We're 5 years in the making.
Which is amazing.
Yeah, we've been doing this for 5 years. And some people, actually, I will say this. Don't compare yourself to others.
Yeah.
Follow your own path. Go at your pace. Yep. This is not a race or a competition.
I agree.
Enjoy the journey.
Yep.
Selling books is the icing on the cake.
Yeah.
And it's not easy. It's not work. But enjoy the journey. The beautiful part of the journey is having your ideas in writing. This will last and live on forever. The opportunity to continue to create will come. Just do what you do, be proud of what you've done, and move forward.
I think that's great advice. And I think that's something that, I mean, I've been even guilty of is I'll look on Instagram or I'll look on Facebook or be like, wow, they're doing that. I need to be doing that.
Mm-hmm.
No, Heather, slow your roll. You don't need to be doing that. You're exactly where you should be at this given time. Just keep going. And that's the biggest thing I can tell people is just keep going because this is not an easy thing. It's not an easy road, but it is so rewarding in so many ways. And in the process, you are touching so many children's lives. And really, in the reality of it, that is why we're doing this. We're doing this for the kids. We're not doing this for us.
Yeah, and actually, someone said something to me that I thought was really profound. When you're looking at social media and things of that nature, don't expect to do in 2 years what it took somebody to do in 20.
Yeah.
You know, there's technology and things out there that can help you accelerate a little faster, but understand that there's a lot of experience. That's like a doctor coming in 2 years, out of grad school or residency with somebody that's been operating for 20 years. We need to get the experience and get the understanding so that you can get to that level and beyond versus comparing yourself to what you see when you just showed up last week.
Right. No, I 100% agree with that. And one last question I want to ask you. So I know you're a teacher. I know you've been a teacher for a very long time. And I know you've been a teacher in Duval County. And in Duval County, we are way under where we should be for literacy and where they should be reading level, especially by the 3rd grade. And I know this year you actually taught 4th grade, right?
4th and 5th grade.
4th and 5th grade. So since you are living it, you are really living it. Like, what are you seeing is the real struggle with these kids in the connect with reading comprehension, with really learning how to read? Is it because they don't necessarily relate to the material they're reading? Are they just not interested? Or are they just really struggling on those basic concepts?
I say this is not an easy answer. Right. It is a multifaceted response required for this type of question. I will say that when we're out selling our books, some of the things we hear, my child too young for reading. My child rips the pages so we can't. Yeah, it's like, come on, y'all. Hold the book.
Yeah.
Hold the book, flip the pages, do what you need to do. Children should be read to from the moment your test comes back positive.
Right.
They hear the voices, they hear the articulation. I joke to my son and my daughter. She knew 8th grade curriculum like a crazy woman because I was teaching 8th grade when I was carrying her, and my son already went to college because I was in my last year of school when I was carrying him. But all of that is important to develop in literacy skills. Talk to your child, read to them while they're still in utero. We can tell the children whose parents have spent time reading and talking to them, not gaga goo goo, but hey, you just boo booed. We gonna clean this up. Don't edit that out. Okay, but oh gosh. Please. But what I'm basically saying is start introducing those literary skills to get them literary ready. Yeah. Don't focus so much on the academics when they're young.
Yeah.
I was very intentional in making sure my children went to a daycare that was actually run by not an old lady, but by old school.
Right.
Grandmas cook the food. It wasn't their grandma, but cook the food, cook breakfast, cook lunch. Give them the academics, but teach them how to be good human beings. Yeah. When they learn the basics of value of education, understanding how to be mannerable and stuff like that, then they will receive the education.
Yeah.
But if you jump right into, you need to read 300 words.
It's too much stress.
It is.
It is too much stress.
And I've taught highly gifted children as well as children that struggle. Right. So I've seen the whole spectrum.
Yeah.
So we need to make sure we're teaching them the basics of being a good person. We need to be reading to them early and young. And we also need to get rid of these devices and actually have some time with the family, just exploring when we go in the car. put the phones down.
Right.
What do you see? What do you understand? Just have good old conversation. Spend time together. And I think if we get kids understanding the value of learning and education, then they will want to receive it. They're going to be forced to read in school, unfortunately. And it can't always be what they want to read. I had books I could not stand that I had to read in school. I still loathe it. That's why I'm mad now. Right. But when they develop those skills to understand, there are things in life that you have to do, even if you don't want to do them. So we do what we have to do now so we can do what we want to do later.
I love that.
Right. Absolutely. We just have to teach them that resilience and that, accountability and responsibility to do what needs to be done and to learn. And if you see your child struggling with, skills and reading and vocabulary, go to the library. I mean, we sell our books, but guess what? You can get so many free books at the library.
Yeah, you can.
Then when they were younger, when I used to grab her and my son, we go to the library. Sometimes I would let them just grab books. Sometimes I would sit on the computer. I knew what they like. I would pick out like 20, 30 books and say, I need to have this ready from the library nearest to my work.
Right.
And so then they would say, hey, your books are ready. I would go pick up 20, 30 books at a time. And then I would turn them in like a month or two later after I kept renewing them. But have those things accessible in the house. So just engage, encourage, be involved. And if you see an issue, address it. Don't blame the teacher. It's not my fault. Yep. Look in the mirror. Okay.
She's not only an award-winning author, actually they both are, but she's an amazing teacher as well. And we really appreciate you coming out today, and both are amazing and have an amazing impact on this community. So please tell our viewers, how do they find you? How do they support you?
Okay, we are in these book streets everywhere. So you can go to our website, www.bayabooks.com.
Oh, look at
And so BAYABooks.com. We really give parenting tips as well as literacy tips on our Instagram, author PeTika. We have our Facebook, which is BAYA Books. I wish it was all connected, but if you go at BAYA Books or Author PeTika, or just Google me, you'll find where we are. Don't Google me. You'll find where we are. But we're here. We want to support you. We want to support your children. We love what you're doing, Heather. You are an amazing asset to the community, and we thank you for this opportunity.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today, and I'm so excited to continue to follow your journey.
Thank you.
So thank you again for tuning in to Author Experts Podcast. This is Heather Marie, and have a great day.